You're 3 days into the collapse, and that cut on your arm isn't just red anymore. It's radiating heat like a stovetop and smells like something died under your skin. The nearest hospital is either overrun, abandoned, or you can't get there because the roads are blocked and gangs own the streets between you and medical care. You know what blood poisoning looks like because you've seen it in movies, and you're watching it happen in real time on your own body. Without antibiotics, sepsis will shut down your organs in 72 hours, maybe less if you're unlucky. Modern medicine taught us to outsource survival to pharmacies and emergency rooms, and now that safety net is gone. But here's what they didn't teach you in school. Your backyard is a pharmacy, and it's been there the whole time. The plants growing in the dirt outside your door have compounds that have kept humans alive for thousands of years before Pfizer existed. These aren't essential oils or wellness trends. This is ethnobotany backed by chemistry that works on bacterial cell walls the same way synthetic drugs do. Indigenous cultures didn't survive plagues and infected wounds by hoping really hard. They survived because they knew which plants contained allicin, berberine, and other antimicrobial compounds that kill pathogens before those pathogens kill you. The difference between you dying of infection and you walking away with a scar is whether you know what to look for and how to use it. We're going to cover 7 plants that grow across North America, Europe, and temperate zones worldwide. Plants you've probably stepped on or mowed over without knowing they could save your life. First up, garlic, and not the sad cloves you buy at the grocery store. We're talking about raw, crushed garlic that releases allicin when the cell walls break. Allicin is a sulfur compound that destroys bacteria by punching holes in their cell membranes. It's been proven effective against MRSA, E. coli, and staph infections in peer-reviewed studies. You need to crush at least 3 to 5 cloves, let them sit for 10 minutes so the allicin fully activates. Then apply the paste directly to the wound or consume it raw if you're dealing with internal infection. Yes, it burns like you're rubbing napalm on your skin, and yes, you'll smell like an Italian restaurant at a funeral, but it works. If you don't have fresh garlic, wild garlic or garlic mustard plants work too. They grow like weeds in forests and abandoned lots. Don't cook it. Heat destroys the allicin. You need it raw and angry. Second method, honey, but specifically raw. Unprocessed honey that still has the enzymes and hydrogen peroxide that make it bactericidal. Medical-grade honey dressings are used in burn units because honey creates a hostile environment for bacteria. It's hygroscopic, meaning it pulls moisture out of bacterial cells and dehydrates them into husks. You want to pack the wound with a thick layer, at least a 1/4 inch deep, then cover it with clean cloth to keep it in place. The glucose oxidase enzyme in honey continuously produces low levels of hydrogen peroxide, turning your wound into a slow-release disinfectant factory. If you don't have raw honey, even processed honey has some antimicrobial effect. It's not ideal, but it's better than dirt and prayers. Change the dressing twice a day, and don't be alarmed when the wound weeps yellow fluid. That's the honey drawing out the infection. Third on the list is plantain, not the banana-looking thing. The low-growing weed with oval leaves and stringy veins that grows in every lawn, sidewalk crack, and hiking trail in the northern hemisphere. Plantain contains aucubin, a compound with antimicrobial and anti-inflammatory properties that native peoples used for everything from snake bites to infected wounds. You need to chew the leaves into a pulp or pound them with a rock until they a green paste. The mechanical breakdown releases the active compounds. Pack the paste directly into the wound. It'll sting for about 30 seconds, then go numb. That's the aucubin going to work. If you can't chew it because you're squeamish or the situation is too gross, crush it between 2 rocks or use a mortar and pestle if you're fancy. Replace the poultice every 4 to 6 hours, and you'll see reduction in swelling and redness within a day if it's working. Now we get to yarrow, the plant with feathery leaves and white flower clusters that grows wild across North America and Europe. Used by soldiers in ancient Greece to stop battlefield bleeding. Yarrow contains acylane, a compound that promotes blood clotting, and volatile oils with antibacterial properties that prevent wounds from going septic. You want to crush the leaves and flowers together, then either pack them directly into a bleeding wound or make a tea by steeping a handful in boiling water for 15 minutes and using it as a wash. The tea method works for internal infections if you drink it, but it tastes like you're licking a lawnmower blade. So add honey if you have it. Don't use yarrow if you're allergic to ragweed or daisies, same plant family, same immune response. If the wound is deep and still bleeding, pack it with fresh yarrow and apply pressure for 10 minutes. It'll stop the hemorrhage and start fighting bacteria simultaneously. Fifth method, oregano, and we're not talking about the dried dust in your spice rack. We need fresh oregano or oregano oil with high carvacrol content. Carvacrol is a phenol compound that disrupts bacterial cell membranes and has been shown in lab studies to kill antibiotic-resistant bacteria that laugh at penicillin. If you have oregano oil, dilute 3 to 5 drops in a tablespoon of carrier oil, like olive oil. Then apply it to the infection. Undiluted oregano oil will chemically burn your skin like acid. For fresh oregano, crush a handful of leaves. Steep them in hot water for 20 minutes. Strain out the plant material, and use the liquid as a wound wash or drink it for respiratory infections. You can also chew fresh oregano leaves if you're dealing with mouth infections or sore throat. It tastes like pizza seasoning mixed with fire. The oil is more potent than the leaves, but the leaves are easier to find if you reforaging in an abandoned herb garden or someone's overgrown yard. Sixth, we have echinacea, the purple coneflower that grows wild in prairies and gardens. Known for boosting immune response, but also containing alkamides and polysaccharides that fight bacterial infections. The roots have the highest concentration of active compounds, so if you can dig up a plant, scrub the roots clean, chop them into small pieces, and boil them for 30 minutes to make a decoction. Drink half a cup 3 times a day. It tastes like dirt and regret, but it'll give your immune system the kick it needs to fight off infection from the inside. If you can't get to the roots, the leaves and flowers work too. Just steep them like tea for 15 minutes and drink it hot. Echinacea won't kill bacteria directly like garlic or oregano, but it activates your white blood cells and makes them more aggressive at hunting down pathogens. Don't expect instant results. This is a support player, not a solo act. Combine it with topical treatments for best effect. The seventh and final plant is thyme, specifically wild thyme or garden thyme with high thymol content, another phenol compound that bacteria can't develop resistance to easily. Thymol destroys bacterial cell walls and interferes with their metabolism, making it effective against both gram-positive and gram-negative bacteria. You need to make a strong infusion by steeping a quarter cup of fresh thyme in 2 cups of boiling water for 20 minutes, then use it as a wound wash or gargle for throat infections. If you have access to thyme essential oil, dilute it the same way you would oregano oil, 5 drops per tablespoon of carrier oil, and apply to infected areas. Fresh thyme can also be chewed for mouth infections or crushed and packed into wounds, though it's less potent than the concentrated oil. The advantage of thyme is it grows everywhere, in gardens, wild and rocky soil, even in window boxes of abandoned apartments. It's one of the most accessible antibacterial plants on this list. Here's the reality check. None of these plants are magic bullets, and they won't save you if you're already in septic shock with your kidneys shutting down. What they will do is buy you time, reduce bacterial load, and keep minor infections from becoming fatal ones when you can't get to a hospital. The key is starting treatment immediately, the second you notice redness, heat, or swelling around a wound, because waiting even 12 hours can mean the difference between a treatable infection and systemic sepsis. Combine methods: use garlic paste on the wound, drink echinacea tea, wash with thyme infusion. Layer your defenses like you're building a fortress against microscopic invaders. Keep wounds clean, change dressings regularly, and if you see red streaks running up your arm from the infection site, that's blood poisoning traveling toward your heart, and you need to escalate treatment immediately or find help before it's too late. The people who survive the collapse won't be the ones with the biggest stockpiles or the most guns. They'll be the ones who know how to turn a backyard into a pharmacy and a kitchen into a field hospital. These 7 plants aren't exotic or rare. They're common, resilient, and they've been keeping humans alive since before we had words for bacteria. Learn to identify them now while you can still use Google and field guides, because when the grid goes down and the pharmacies are looted, you won't have time to figure out which green thing in your yard is plantain versus poison ivy. Harvest them, dry them, store them in jars with labels, and keep them somewhere dark and dry so they're ready when you need them. Practice making poultices and infusions before you redoing it with shaking hands while your kid is crying from an infected scrape. The final truth is this: antibiotics are just chemicals that kill bacteria, and those chemicals exist in nature whether or not they come in an orange pill bottle. The pharmaceutical industry didn't invent antimicrobial compounds. They just isolated them, synthesized them, and put them behind a prescription wall that collapses the moment supply chains break. You have the same power to fight infection that doctors have. You just need to know where to look and how to use what you find. So get outside, learn these plants, make them part of your survival toolkit. And understand that the difference between you becoming a casualty or a survivor might be as simple as knowing which weed to crush and which wound to pack. Your backyard is a battlefield and a pharmacy at the same time, and now you know how to win.